Oh, hi. Good to meet you. Oh, David, I think I've seen you. Yeah. It's a Monday morning.
Just Stump's website, yeah. That's what's really awesome.
Would you guys be able to come in?
Okay. Right. Okay, so I've just got a prepared statement. Just go through that. It'll be a couple of minutes, and then we'll throw to questions, which will be all three of us will be available for today. So thank you for coming here today on the site where we should be seeing the Metro Sports facility. Since becoming the Minister last month, I've been conducting a review of the anchor projects. This project has emerged early as one that presented serious concerns. Firstly, it is significantly delayed. According to the previous government's original timeline, it was due to be opened in the first quarter of last year. As you can see from the empty lot around us, this hasn't happened. Upon taking office, however, I was briefed by officials on an even larger problem. The previous government's plan was for an early contractor involvement process. However, based on the final pricing submission provided by the contractor, the project was now due to exceed its budget by $75 million. That is a $75 million budget blowout. As an incoming minister, this was incredibly disappointing to discover. This government is committed to faster, concrete progress on the Canterbury recovery. We want action and we want momentum, not the delays and the roadblocks we have seen in the past years. We need plans for our city's anchor projects that are realistic, affordable and offer good value for money. A $75 million budget blowout on a project that is already years behind schedule is an undue burden on taxpayers and ratepayers, and I know that we can and must do better. And that's why I'm announcing today that the early contractor involvement process will be cancelled. Otakaro will be cancelling that contract, and I've instructed officials at the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet to work with the Christchurch City Council to carry out an urgent review of the options for speeding up this project and delivering it in line with the original budget. I've asked them to investigate two new options for delivery. The first is to complete a detailed design and tender for a new build-only contract, which would deliver the project within the original budget. The second is to consider new options for the project, such as whether it would be beneficial to combine part or all of the Metro Sports facility with the proposed multi-use arena, for which a pre-feasibility assessment has recently been completed. This will allow us to test whether the assumptions made in 2012 about this project still hold up, and to ensure that we are getting a facility that meets the city's needs and that is fit for purpose. We will act urgently, and we are aware we are inheriting a project that is already well behind schedule. I've set a deadline of March 2018 for this review. This is the date when Otakaro is planning to go to market on the final building elements of the plan. This means no time is lost through considering other options now. I'm confident this review will give us the time to develop a realistic, achievable plan to deliver a fit-for-purpose facility that Cantabrians can be proud of. I've taken this decision because I do not believe we can stick to the same old approaches and expect different outcomes. As Minister, I am committed to getting things moving in Canterbury, to make the hard calls when required, to eliminate roadblocks and get things moving along. This new plan is one of the first steps in making this happen. We're happy to take questions.
So, Megan, how did the relationship with, how will the relationship with Lee's end? I mean, is it effectively, is it them walking away, or is it you saying, or is it you ending the relationship, so to speak?
Otakaro has been working with Lee's through this period, and Albert has been talking with the contracting company. And I don't know if you have anything to add there, Albert?
Yeah, we continue to discuss their latest submissions and the scheduling of the risk allocations for the project. several months ago, we suspended work on the ECI while we continued those discussions, and we reviewed it at the board level with Otakro, and the board resolved to actually terminate the ECI and proceed to complete the detailed design and to look at proceeding to a build-only contracting basis. So we actually have formally terminated the ECI contract.
Right.
What was that effective date?
It was today. We notified them effective today. Suspension was several months ago in terms of suspending the activity.
So what does that mean in terms of what we've seen people on site today?
So that's the two sorry, Albert. That's the two options I outlined. So Albert can proceed with the process. He'll describe a bit more in a second. So we've got, while Albert looks at us Otakaro completing ourselves the design option, that we actually use this opportunity of the window we're given to look for other creative and innovative solutions to see if this still in 2017, a year after when we're meant to have a facility here, that this is still the best option for Canterbury, and I'm determined to look at everything from every angle. I know I'm hearing from far too many parents who are talking about their kids growing up without any facilities. We're talking about a whole generation of Canterbury kids that haven't had access to sports facilities. But Albert, you might want to talk about the process that you're going to go in for.
Yeah, the process, what we're doing now is that while we suspended work on the ECI, we continued with Lee's Cochran on the early works contract, and that's still going on. That's the activity you see on site today. The early works contract was about getting as much groundwork done in preparation to being in a position to award a construction contract. It's very much the process that we followed on the convention center, where we did as much of that early work so that when we were in a position to award a contract, we could get the contractor on the ground and get started immediately with construction.
So how long does that contract go for?
The contract has still got several more months to go, and we'll continue to discuss with Lee's Cochran to complete this early works.
Minister, are we starting from scratch again here?
No, quite the contrary. We've got an opportunity here. There was some work done in 2012. A lot of the work that's been done here can be reutilised in these decisions. What I'm proposing to do is in the next 3 weeks, so before Christmas, work with council to actually do a pretty quick piece of feasibility to see whether or not to proceed with a larger piece of work that would take us through on the same timeline as Otakaro and Albert will be working on. So I know time is of the essence. This is about progress. This is about accepting the status quo actually may not present the best way forward for Canterbury, and making sure that we utilise all the opportunities we have in front of us to build the very best facilities for Canterbury, which is something we all want.
Merging the stadium with the Metro Sports facility, though, that would be a major overhaul of this project.
There has been some work done in 2012 about looking at that as an option, and that's what I want to dust on. Is it different? Is it going down a different route? Yes, it is. Because where we're standing here today, let me remind you, we're meant to be standing in front of a completed Metro Sports facility that was opened last year. This hasn't happened, so what I'm looking for it is other options that means that we can take this forward.
But isn't that just going to lead to more delays?
No, quite the contrary. Today actually is about injecting some momentum into this so that we can be sure that actually we can get something delivered here in Canterbury. I've never been a person to accept that you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different outcome. So I'm determined to use this opportunity that we've been given to look at this from every angle.
So you've said it became apparent that going on along the same route would result in a $75 million blowout. How do you know investigating combining this with parts of or the entire stadium won't lead to a blowout as well?
I don't, and that's why we'll be using this time to do that work. This is exactly the kind of questions we have to ask. But let's be realistic. We're talking about two very big projects between the Metro Sports facility and the multi-use arena. We're talking about nearly $1 billion that has been put aside by our various entities. I refuse to accept that we can't get something pretty spectacular for Canterbury for that sum of money. But we need to do the work, and that's why I'm not standing in front of you today saying this is what is going to happen. I'm saying we're going to utilise this opportunity and this window we've got to look at all the options.
So how long, Albert, had you been negotiating the main works contract with Lee's?
The ECI process has been an iterative process that's been going on for something like about 15 to 18 months. It has several pricing stages as we go through different design stages.
And at what stage did it become clear that there was going to be a considerable extra cost?
It was in the last pricing submission where we ran into considerable issues And I think as much as the actual pricing, it was the risk allocations for the project.
And when was that, sorry?
The last pricing, I think we got in the month of late July, early August.
So why the continuation of negotiations from then? Was it, I mean, are you effectively under the direction of the former minister to continue?
No, what we were actively discussing how we might be able to value manage to get the pricing down, and we were discussing contractual terms in relation to how we might share the risk allocations. Because the blowout that the minister has talked about is actually not only an increase in the contractor's pricing, but it's also an increase in our estimations of what we have to carry for risk contingency for the project. So it's not just the pricing from the contractor, and we've been negotiating both of those factors.
So, I mean, why the continued negotiations since you say July was the last, what have you called it, I can't remember exactly, but why the continuation to the point now where it's sort of at a stage where the negotiations won't continue?
I think you have to be realistic. We were in a period where we were at the coming up into the election. We get caught in provisions where major decisions, you tend not to make those just prior to an election. We had a caretaker government while we were going through the arrangements around that, and we just got caught in that time period, so we lengthened the period that we would have normally taken to do something would have been done much shorter.
Anything else, guys? All right, thanks heaps, everyone. Cheers.
I just got the minister. How are you going to cut $75 million off this?
The $75 million blowout would be really contracted whole process. That's what we keep saying today and saying.
Actually recommended to me. He recommended Julie Coe's book,